From time immemorial, the Garos had been living as an independent tribe in the present-day Garo Hills of Meghalaya state. The Garo villages were like the tiny republican states, each independent of the other, somewhat resembling that of the ancient Greek republican states. Each Garo village stayed under the clan chief called Nokma, who ruled over them according to their customary laws and traditions. Togan and Sangma was born at Samanda village of present East Garo Hills district in about the year 1845. He grew up with nature along with his co-villagers who loved to roam about in the hills and dales for hunting wild animals with their swords, spears, bows, and arrows. That was the age that recognized the acts of bravery and heroism and greatly respected those who could circle around their houses with strings of human and animal skulls. Togan was one of those who gained such social recognition. As a senior maternal uncle of his clan, he had led in many successful battles against the neighboring rival villages and clans. When Togan was at the prime of his life, the British had already occupied major portions of Garo Hills, which were created into a district by passing the Garo Hills District Act 1869. However, there were more than 60 Garo villages of the most interior parts of Garo Hills, which were still independent, including Togan's and his co-leader Gelsang Dalbot Sangma's villages of Samanda and Dalbot, Kalkagre respectively. After creating the Garo Hills into a district, the British decided to annex the remaining Garo independent villages, but had been waiting for an opportune moment to plunge into action. A series of events that occurred provided an opportune moment for the British to fulfill their ambition.
Togan Nengminja Sangma will definitely go down in history as one of the great defenders of freedom of his native land and valiant hero of Northeast India, as he sacrificed his own life for the sake of freedom of his native land against the British. He and his band of warriors could never reconcile to the idea of surrendering their independence to the British, who already annexed most of the parts of Garo Hills and who planned to annex the remaining Garo independent villages. They could never imagine, even in their wildest dreams, of losing their independence, which they claimed to be their birthright inherited. An opportune moment was created by Togan and Gelsang, another independent Nokmas who took revenge on those villages which submitted to the British authority. As a result, murders and killings became rampant once again. Another event that followed was that a Khalasi who accompanied the British survey party led by Major Godwin Austen was killed in 1871 by the independent Garos. This was taken by the British as a challenge to their authority. Therefore, in order to bring peace and order, the British government decided to annex the entire Garo Hills, Garo villages, while Togan, Gelsang and other Nokmas vowed to offer resistance even at the risk of their lives. In order to put an end to the feeling of insecurity by the surrendered Garos, the British decided to annex the remaining independent Garo villages by undertaking three-pronged attacks from the three different directions. Accordingly, one party, led by Captain M.P. Davis, would enter the Garo Hills from the Golpara district, while the other party, led by Mr. Delhi, a police officer from Kachar, would enter the Garo Hills from Durgapur of Mymensingh district of present-day Bangladesh. The main column would be led by Captain W.J. Williamson, Deputy Commissioner of Garo Hills district. It was also arranged that 500 armed police would be brought to Garo Hills from other districts for the expedition, out of which 100 police would accompany Captain Williamson and 50 each would accompany Captain Davis and Mr. Delhi. The remaining armed police would be placed at Tura and other sensitive areas. Besides, 3 companies of 43rd Assam Light Infantry were also moved to Garo Hills to assist the armed police, and 3 companies of the Assam Regiment stationed at Shillong was moved to Nongstoin for any emergency. It was also decided that all the 3 columns would march through the independent Garo villages and enforce their submissions, after which they would meet at Central Rendezvous at Rongrengri in present-day East Garo Hills district. Then they would jointly take steps to bring the remaining independent Garo villages to submission. The zamindars of the surrounding estates like Mechpara, Susang Durgapur, Karaibari, Gola, Romari, and Bijuni had rendered invaluable services to the British by supplying both rations and coolies free of cost.
Mana saya belum kerja ni ya? Bapa cuba ruram tanam ni ya?
Musa, nasa ba? Ayaw, maram sa nasa ulit doon nga na.
Bulan nung jadi na, mandi na rin belum kerja kerja nang jua. Kurang bina kerja rangan nung jadi.
Darang ba ka naman dyan? Ikong simay ang gen. Kumsa kini dong na nangay na.
Uwe ba? Bukan sini ada. Sikit dong na nangaya. Mandi sekarang kinjo ba? Igal kepok rori yang nari sikit dong na nangaya.
Ya bigil bok rodi dah kara. Ancing ado ko na bayar sa nakpaya.
Ya igal kepok rori yang di ancingnya aci ko ra seke ancing ni kusak ko ancing ko sasun kanamnya.
Darang ba ancing ado ko na mencawa. Ado ko na pet kumang ancing ado ko na cawa cawa cancin ang gen.
Hati seorang ni bisunin gonjok ni kenaiga. Sosok tok macam gonjok bisunan bamion jangan na.
Ya bigil bok rodi dang na asung tang cigatang ko bemen ko ba. Song ni manderang tentang ko acik ne sana kera cajama. Cak kutil keng ba. Song ni manderang ko kumong na langgen. Song ni manderang na magrak tani kon bo. Ya bigil bok orang yang deh, ancing asong ko deh, nasik na mingan ya ancing bos sarang ko ni gitke, wina mana? Nasi mga yang ni menumai ko cantia.
Ancing ya ko, bisungin nak, tapi rugi yang nak, tapi aku. Sampai sudah dia ancing mai ko tak nangin, jago na nangin na, tak nangin mai ko cantik nangin. Manjau darang barasina, beldung darang ba. 나 팀이 송한 잡혀로 딱 너무 막 그분 아들이 만들어 거봐 잡히나 구멍을 넣어.
Woi, kung cantik nangin ancing deh. Batang masa sumarang mijam ni nak ta. 송스카 송 그틈 나갔다 주스카 바주 간다고 바주스카 코 안체 스코 속 만족 스코 속 그렇게 모든 립쪽 리버 이야 자쿠 가나다 뒤에 루비랑코
waras kada jengde ku sungguh ku ba jengde mong nanang rum nanang gen bol nanang gen jema thum nanang gen anche songsan mane manchak jawa ku tak nanang gen ya kamu jak urin de
Gesang nan gepuna aduk ni mandirang na yangi kubur bo nani jakon ni kora pak wadin jok
왜 도관 결성? 나 구대 나옹니 아가나 그딴 아가디 녹망 오바 용 송이 녹니 녹망 오바 아가디 불그리야 나오다 블락 cấp 자다 cấp 포자 나 어디 나송한 양에 먹나 송급은 녹급은 만들어 넣은 안 결성한 아가니 문나 다 때문 온다고 아청데 미자문이오나 그때 안청데 스코스 때 안치는 게뭐 안청데 뭐불 등조 그렇죠 나 그거 남이 아가는 다 때문 온다고 나 어디 나니 양부
안 보게 녹마 아가 송이 녹니 반디 삭삭 그니 그런 망이 문나 송이 문자 이제 박사 잡아 양이 문나 송이 때 만들어 나간 다 같이 돈 박아 놓
니 그러면 안청데 남면 약간 잔치는 게 안청데야 보분한 거대 스코스 때 아작 속에 안청데랑 그래 막 그만 가는 안 나와
Having come to know from hearsay about the British government plan to annex their villages, the remaining independent Garo villages began to contact one another to decide their strategy for future course of action. In a series of crucial meetings that followed, they finally decided to sink their age-old differences and animosity and jointly oppose the possible attack by the British government. Without any idea of the British military strength, strategy and armed power, they unanimously decided to oppose with their traditional swords and shields, covered with banana trunks and with spears, bows and arrows, elated with great patriotism and national pride.
아이, 남이 비엔디야. 와이마, 남노. 니브라. 남겨라. 시비비야. 우리랑 내 walk 거랑 이나 시기니. 이게 당게 안 친데. 나포죠. 무슨 안 친데 바퀴 되는 면 나는 닦기면 안 친데. 우리랑 거 와라 찾아줘. 남게 남좀 먹게. 남이 비겐.
옹아이겐
두건 상마 라카웨 전랑어웨 고속겐 찌르겐 루리랑코
더 잘난 거야. 하이. 이거서 다 지랑 거. 잘난 거야.
나서 이렇게 남아줘 야 송찬인
bikin dua rumah. Kacung bu, ya. Bulbul lapir dua rumah. Mana baik kamu?
왜 마땅하면 살랑어 안층 낙극쪽 등극쪽 정서적인 박사 스코 속극쪽 사업락 봤다 사업 봤다 사 가동 봤다 안층 그 위족 아로 시계발이 시톡쪽 안층에 맞극당 안되보다 안층 그딸 자꾸 네모 가용이야 네모 가용이야 이나이 그 구월나 저리 봐 님 다완 지금 강치 루리랑 미글 뽀랑 거 이렇게 와라 잡긴 그 구멍랑 그러면 진짜 나니 하자 그 나니 할 거 아가 나 할거 나이 봐 저리
Anjingni adok de amam bionin sekarang ni sa jangki sipli ba anjingni adok de ruri yang ada jawai
ya ruri rang de mande ba bang hana ni aru matam sungnya sekarang kan bisuna de tak patak caknya hana ini kuman simsak bo
Bawang manggene anjing sang suwa sang suwa ta mana ini gimana anjing mat kerkan gemekan melam nang ko ulem na sepir nang ko gemekon antang na
다이돈 더 고정.
namun apa ya takte nang apa ya
라 안다 거래 제가 이스카나 저 살냥 왕족 나서 마타네 만디랑 거 gemekon 아가니 돈도 너무 다이 동tok 부족 럼카 숙대 안jing gemekon 동나 이거 딱나
Jin ane
라 gemekon
nara
Commencing his march from Durgapur in Nengminja district on the 7th December 1872, Mr. Delhi and his party arrived at Chisobibra on the 9th December 1872 at 1 p.m. After a long search for a suitable place for his camp, he finally selected a site which was found to be very defensible. On the 10th December, Delhi encamped at the selected site by the side of the Simsang River and then sent back 100 Garo and 95 Nepali coolies to Durgapur for provisions. At 5 p.m., a great number of Garo warriors, led by Togan and Gulsang, suddenly appeared near Delhi's camp and attempted to attack, but were repulsed. Next day, Delhi took measures to protect his camp by digging trenches and bunkers around his camp and by raising mounds of earth for the watchmen. He also drafted additional men to protect him from the surrendered villages like Patriot and Nengminja. He then sent some of the Garos in his camp to meet and appeal to Togan and Gulsang and other Nokmas to surrender. But they declared that they would never submit to the intruders and would revenge themselves on those who had done so.
Ang atukan Sangma, gagawin jalan way, sekosot keban, sing kepa, jalan kau era. Kasian be ah.
Ya, rirangku deh, bigil pokangku deh, anjing di bagat dapat memang mak kemana lah tajam uno. Durama jarek kedam matam, semcang cirkam tu matam, tapi anjing nak pandang ini kene.
만들어. 만들어 마.
Ah, kau ni mandi aku kerja. Hei, bawa mana bawa mana? Napa? Asung rum. Mana bawa mumpun ya? Asung rum. Mau naik bawa asung ah. Ini asung apa? Ini. Asung. Ada bawa.
Asung main ni ba?
Jangan deh, sahib ni mata tanah saya iba, mamang namjang sekali dongja.
Mai kau berkura ba?
Sahib nak simang na gemutan salam nating ah. Anceng ruri rangko bubul kenal sang kijang. Jong usan nang remi kam kana anceng nambini rakli manbat ke.
Sung bigil bok rori rang na tentang ko nungko lo na bamin kebarang tentang ko acik na kaca jama mai nak magandang sinurang ko ganing na suara
Jongde ancena bati sing kata Joni sing ngani ku sekira ban sungbi ba nam binir pati mandane ban gen kun baksana bijongde ancena bati belak usapata ina bati anceng anci pari nakagri sona pamion nam de nambat gen
Aman akan tunang men adu ko naptra ba ko na sawa bing ko ko yang saba nang sahib na yang ya kanibo chungoni saksa ba bamen jawa aro chingya asling sa ko bomang raikat naman jawa
On the night of 11 December 1872, Delhi heard again the war cries of the Garos around his camp, but no attack was made. Strict vigilance was therefore made round the clock. On the same night, Togan Sangma summoned a grand assembly of all the independent Garo villages at his courtyard to decide about the next course of action. At the same time, they threatened Delhi with war cries again near the camp. At a grand assembly that lasted the whole night, they in one voice decided to drive back the intruders at all costs. In the morning of 12th December, the independent Garos threatened Delhi with war cries again. At 1 o'clock in the foggy afternoon, the independent Garos, led by Togan and Gulsang, made a wild charge on the camp with war cries. Instantly, the British police took up their positions and fired at them. Then the Garos stopped for a while, being dumbfounded at the noise produced by guns.
그래도 그 공조 자가짜니 동아대 모 구이라 작성 공조 이잠산이 가와대 모
The statue of Togan Nengminja Sangma is erected at Chisobibra, where he died a hero fighting the British on 12th December 1872. In Shillong, the capital of Meghalaya, his name is inscribed in the triangular monument built in honor of the three great patriots of Meghalaya.
Angan lakpangan wa sagpa angan matgreg rakamung chalangamung uklekewa agam seljauba angan matgreg